Now I'm back to the head, and you can see that the eyelashes turned out gorgeous. So that's an option that you can have for your doll. So now we're going to make the nose. Go ahead and get the same colored yarn and double it up onto your tapestry needle. And here is my yarn. This is the Magnolia Way colored yarn. I doubled it up. Then you're just going to take and come up on the row beneath the eyes. And then you're going to go over 2 stitches. And you want to make sure the nose is centered between the eyes. And then come back through to the wrong side. And then go ahead and tie a knot on the inside. Don't pull the knot down too tight, because then you'll make the nose, pull it just tight enough that the nose doesn't deform the stitches. Then you're going to go back through. So you're going to come up in the same spot that you initially came up for the nose. And then go back down in the same spot, 2 stitches over, for your second time. Then you're going to make 1 more for a total of 3. Make sure that the nose looks the way that you want it to. And you can see you have a cute little nose. Then just take and cut the tapestry needle off. And then just take and tie another knot on the inside. Make sure that your nose still looks okay as you're tying the knot. And then you can just leave the loose yarn ends on the inside. Now you want to get the yarn that you're using for the hair, and then you want to put some onto your tapestry needle. So you can see how I put some of the orange yarn on my tapestry needle. So whatever hair color that you're using, whether it be brown, orange, yellow, you're going to come up, you're going to use your magic circle as a landmark, and then just count down 2 rounds, and then come up with your tapestry needle just beneath the second round. And then just make sure that you leave a loose yarn end on the inside for tying a knot. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie the knot with the center loose yarn end to secure the yarn on the inside. And then you're going to make loops of yarn. So this first portion, so my hair might have to trim the eyelashes, but for the first portion I'm going to start with the bangs. So I'm going to make a loop, I'm going to go about a stitch over, and then I'm just going to make a loop of yarn. Now when you're making the bangs, you're going to want to make the loop of yarn slightly longer than you want the bangs to be. It's just easier to tie the knot. So I'm making my loops about to the bottom of the head, the bottom opening. So remember, we haven't completed the head yet, but that's about how long I want to make the loops, because I can always trim them later. And again, the reason why I'm making a little bit longer is because it makes it easier when you tie your knots. And then you're just going to go all around, making loops of hair. Make your loops the same length for the bangs. And you're just going to continue making your loops of yarn. Then, when you get past the bangs and you get to the side and the back of the head, you're going to make the loops of hair longer. So whatever length that you want her hair to be, and for this one I'm going to make her hair slightly longer than the elf doll with the brown hair. So you can see that I left a long loop for her hair, the length that I want her hair to be. And then after I run out of yarn on my first time around, I'm going to go and cut each individual loop and then tie a knot. So I like to tie the knots as I make the hair, rather than make the hair and then come back and tie the knots. So it's a personal preference, whichever way you want to make the hair. There's not a right or wrong way. And you can see that I just take and cut each of the loops. Now, some of the yarn, especially the brown haired yarn that I use with the Caron Simply Soft, the hair just kind of stuck up everywhere. Don't worry about that, because the elf hat will help keep the hair down when we sew the elf hat in place. So depending on the yarn that you choose, you might have wild hair sticking up in it, in different directions. And again, don't worry, because the elf hat will help keep the hair in place the way that you want it. So go ahead and finish this first round of hair for your doll, and when you come back I'll show you how to make the second round. So on mine I actually made it on the third round, which is fine. You can either make it on the hair on the second round or the third round, but then on our next hair round, to make sure I leave enough of a forehead, I'm going to make it on the fourth round. So this is what she looks like so far. You can see I put hair all the way around that third round. And again, you can make it around the second round too if you wanted to. Then just take and move the hair out of the way, and then get some more yarn onto your tapestry needle. And then this time you're going to go around the fourth round. So the round just beneath or 2 rounds down, because I went around the third round. So if you went on the second round, then you would count down to the fourth round. And for the bangs, I'm making them the same length. And again, I'm going to make mine a little bit longer because I want to be able to tie a knot. So I'm going to trim the bangs later. And then you just go all around that fourth round the same way that you did for the third round. So this is how my doll looks after I trimmed her bangs. And then you're ready to sew the hat in place. You're going to want to get the same colored yarn as the main color of your hat because you're going to be sewing just above the brim of the hat, so right up here. So you want the same color as the main color of the hat. Then you just take and place the hat where you want it on the head. Make sure that your bangs or your hair looks the way that you want it to. And then just take your tapestry needle and you're going to go right above the brim of the hat into the head of the doll and then come back up. Don't worry if you're skipping stitches because you can go back around and sew any skipped stitches as many times as you want to. And then you just position the hat on the head and then just sew all around, making sure that you have the hair where you want it as you sew the hat in place. And when I'm finished, this is what her hair looks after I sewed the hat in place. I really love this color for her hair. It really turned out pretty. So now you're ready to finish closing the head or finish working on the head. So then just take that loop that you left in the back and we're going to resume crocheting at that loop. So go ahead and get your yarn marker. We're going to make one increase round. So you're going to make one single crochet into 4 stitches. And then you're going to make 2 single crochet into this 5th stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into 4 stitches. And then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You should have 48 stitches total after finishing that round. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After you finish your 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and leave a little bit of a loop where we left off and then just turn the work over so that the face is in front of you. We're going to make the mouth. So go ahead and get your pretty and pink yarn, and you can double up the yarn or you can use just 1 strand, whichever way that you prefer your mouth to look. I'm going to use the single strand of yarn. And then you're just going to go 1 stitch over from the nose, from the wrong side with your tapestry needle. And then just come up with the yarn. Make sure that you leave enough yarn on the inside for tying a knot. And then you're going to go 1 row down and 1 stitch over back into the wrong side. So 1 row down, 1 stitch over with your tapestry needle. Then you can take and tie a knot on the inside, and just be careful that when you tie the knot that you don't pull it too tight and then mess up the smile on the front. So just a gentle knot. And then I'm going to make it a couple of times so it won't come out. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to go 2 stitches over for the bottom portion of the smile, and then just go back in 2 stitches over to the right, then you're going to go 1 round up and 1 stitch over for the left side of the smile, and then just go right back down 1 round down, 1 stitch over for the left side of the smile. Then you can just tie a knot on the inside. Now go back to the back of the head. We're going to start making the decrease rounds for the head. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up. For the first decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches. And then you're going to make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have 40 stitches in the round. Then we're going to make another decrease round. This time you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then just repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you should have 32 stitches in the round. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up for the next decrease round. And for this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you should have 24 stitches in the round, and move the yarn marker up for our last decrease round. For the last decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you should have 16 total stitches in the round, and that's going to be the size for the neck for the girl doll. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. So a total of 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After you finish your 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and then you're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So go into the next stitch over, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you're going to finish off, just yarn over, and then just pull a little bit of yarn through to bury your loose yarn end. Then you're finished with the head for now. Before we move on to the ears, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of blush. The blush is optional. So I'm using my Almay pink blush, and I just use this blush for my dolls. It'll last forever. You just kind of blow on the brush. Then you can take and just kind of brush the cheeks gently. to put as much blush as you want. So you can see that you can barely see the blush on the doll, which is what you want. Then go ahead and set the head aside for now. I'm going to show you how to make the ears. So now I'm going to show you how to make the elf ears. And you just need to get your Magnolia Way colored yarn. So we're going to start with the magic circle. We've done this before. We're going to start with the slip knot. And then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you're going to go ahead and close the magic circle. And then you're going to turn your work to work into the first stitch. Now we want to make 3 rounds of 6 stitches in the round. So I'm going to show you, without using your yarn marker, I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. So we know that there's 6 stitches in each round, and we want 3 rounds, so 6 times 3 is 18 stitches. So you can take and go into the first stitch, and that will count as your first single crochet. Here's your second, third. Now as you're making your single crochets, make sure that your loose yarn end stays on the inside, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to turn your work inside out with this tiny stitch for the ear, tip of the ear. So in the next stitch will be the 4th single crochet. Next stitch will be the 5th, and then the next stitch will be the 6th. So you can see how I'm forming the tip of the ear, and I'm keeping the loose yarn end in the center of the tip, and you can pull on it to close the hole if you need to. So I know that I'm on 6, so I finished 1 round. Now I'm going to work on the 2nd round. So in the next stitch is my 7th. So I'm keeping track of the stitch count. So 7 single crochet. Don't skip any stitches. 8. 9. 10, 11, and 12. So I just finished my 2nd round. I'm going to keep going because I need 1 more round. So this is 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, and then the last one, 18. So now we're going to increase the number of stitches in the round. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've closed the tip of the ear, and then I'm just going to trim my loose yarn end in the center, and then just tuck the loose yarn end into the center of the tip of the ear. And now we're going to make our first increase round. So go ahead and get your yarn marker, and then for the first increase round you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Repeating that pattern all the way around. So now you should have 9 total stitches in the round. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up for the next round. Now for this round, it's another increase round. You're going to make 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. Now you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around except for the last 2 stitches. In the last 2 stitches you're going to make 2 single crochet into each of those stitches. So here I'm making 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then I'm making another 2 single crochet into that third stitch, and then that leaves me with a total of 3 remaining stitches. So I'm going to make 1 single crochet into that first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into each of those 2 remaining stitches. And then that will bring your stitch count to 13 for that round. Now for the next round, you're going to start the round with 2 single crochet into that first stitch only. So 2 single crochet into the first stitch only. Then just make 1 single crochet in every stitch around back to the yarn marker. And then that will give you a stitch count of 14. Then just take and move your yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around, and your stitch count for each of these rounds should be 14. Then you can take and remove the yarn marker, and then just make a slip stitch into the next stitch over, and then go ahead and finish off, and then pull enough yarn through to sew the ear onto the doll's head. And then you could see that the larger portion is the top portion of the ear, and then this portion will curve up, the tip of the ear will curve up. So for mine, I took the side of the head, and you want to count about 5 stitches from the safety doll eye. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to sew my ear at that point, and then you just want to put the amount of hair that you want in front of the ear over to the side. And then you're going to take your ear with that larger portion of the ear up towards the brim of the hat. And then position the ear so that the top portion of the ear is up at the brim of the hat, And then the front portion of the ear is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 stitches from the safety doll eye. And then just see if you like that positioning for the ear, and then just sew all around the base of the ear, sewing it in place. And this is what my ear looks like after I've sewn it in place. And you can see that I'm about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches away from the safety doll eye. And then I have the larger curve of the ear towards the top of the brim of the hat. Now make sure that when you sew the other ear in place, that you sew the bottom earlobe at the same level as your other ear, so you don't have one ear higher than the other. And this is what she looks like after getting her ears sewn on. So now another optional thing that you can do is you can place earrings on the ears. So you can use Christmas earrings or Christmas buttons. So sometimes I like to use the dangling earrings, Christmas earrings for the ears. I did that with Mrs. Santa Claus. I have a separate video tutorial for Mrs. Santa Claus. But for this elf, I'm going to use buttons. So these buttons are cute little Christmas buttons. And I'm going to put the lollipop on one ear and then the candy cane on the other ear. You can use a regular sewing needle and thread, or you can use a slender tapestry needle that has a large eye big enough for you to place your yarn onto. And then just make sure that the buttonhole, your tapestry needle will fit through the buttonhole. And then you can sew on the earrings. This is what she looks like with her earrings in place. And then on the back, you can't see where I tied the knot and buried the loose yarn ends. Now you can set the head aside. We're going to make the body. For the body, you're going to use your deep sea colored yarn for the girl body. And we're going to start with the magic circle. So you just drape the yarn around your 2 middle fingers just like we've done before. And then just bring up a loop for your slip knot. And then place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. After you place the 6 single crochet into the magic circle, just like we did before, you're going to place 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round. Then you're going to get your yarn marker, place it right where you left off, and just like we did for the head, you're going to make your increase rounds in chronological order. And we're going to be increasing to 1 single crochet into 4 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. For the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch and then 2 single crochet into the 2nd stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet in the 1st stitch and then 2 single crochet into the 2nd stitch. You should have had 18 total stitches on that last round, and then just move your yarn marker up for the next increase round. And for the next increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Now since we started with 6 single crochet in the magic circle, to find out what your stitch count is, you're just going to add 6 to the last stitch count. So I'm not going to give the stitch count any longer. So after this round, just add 6 to the last stitch count. Remember, the last stitch count for the last round was 18. So 18 plus 6 will be 24. And that's how you find out the stitch count for your rounds. For the next increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch, and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then for the last increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have a total of 36 stitches in the round after that last increase round. Now we're not going to be increasing or decreasing the number of stitches in the round. We're going to maintain the stitch count, which is 36. And now you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 16 rounds. So you need 16 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch around. This is how your work should look after completing 16 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Then just take and move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and we're going to make a decrease round. So you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have a total of 30 stitches in the round. Go ahead and start stuffing the body with craft stuffing. We're not going to close the body completely. So now just move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and for the next decrease round you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then you're going to make your single crochet 2 stitches together, and then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now we have 2 more decrease rounds. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and the next decrease round is 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then the last decrease round is 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, and then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So I finished with 12 stitches in the round. Go ahead and remove your yarn marker, and then you're just going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over, and then go ahead and finish off, and then just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the body and the head together. So now you can go ahead and stuff the head with craft stuffing. So you want to make sure that you have enough stuffing in the head and the body, but you want to make sure that you don't overstuff to where you can see through the crochet holes. So make sure that you stuff it just enough to give the form that you want for the body and the head without overstuffing. Then you're going to go ahead and get your curler that goes between the neck, the head, and the body, so you can determine what size that you want. For the girl doll, I'm using the blue ones, so you can see the difference between the purple and the blue. Then you want to take and stuff the curler. You can kind of rotate it until it's about halfway. If you want, you can take your tapestry needle and sew it in place. So I'm going to take my tapestry needle with the Magnolia Way colored yarn and just put a couple of stitches. You can see how I just went right through the curler. Just be careful that you don't poke yourself. And then just bring the tapestry needle through. And then I'm just going to leave enough yarn for tying a knot, and then I'm just going to go a stitch over and then just go back through. You want to come back close to where you went in. And then just come out as close as you can. Then you can just tie a knot and then bury the loose yarn ends. Then you can just take the body and pull the body onto the curler and just cinch it. You can twist it, cinch it. And then the other thing that I did to help bring the body closer to the head was just take the long end that you left for sewing on the body, put it onto your tapestry needle, and then just go into the bottom stitch on the head, and then that helps bring the body closer. Looks like some stuffing. I'll just push that in. And then you're just going to take and sew. So if you go in through the head, I go right back through the head and back into that top stitch on the body. And then just bring the body and the head and sew them together. So I'm going to go back in through the body and then back up into the head. And then I'm just pulling the body to the head. And you can, if you're skipping stitches, that's okay, because you can always go back later and then just go around multiple times, making sure that the body is sewn to the head. And then you just go around multiple times, just sewing the head to the body. And this is how mine looks after sewing the head to the body, and you can see how the roller helps to stabilize the neck. Then, if you want to, you can take some of your red sparkle yarn to tie a bow in the hair. And this is what she looks like with her little bows in the hair, in the front only.